Hey everybody, so I'm in the middle of installing a set of Spindle Source upper control arms. They're made for a half-ton Chevy truck, 99 to 06, 07 Classic if you got one of those. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm trying to keep the ride quality good at the ride height I'm at. Obviously, if you're lifting your truck a lot, the best thing to do is to get a real lift kit. That keeps all your angles straight, and then you don't have to worry about this. But if you're only going 2 or 3 inches, I'm a believer that these work. There's a lot of people that don't think they do, but at least in this particular case, I'm a believer, and here's why. Let me turn the camera around here so you guys can see. If you look at this stock control arm here, your ride height is going to get worse exponentially the higher you go, because you get more and more angle on that ball joint right here. What the Spindle Source upper control arms have that these don't is actually nothing to do with the control arm itself, but it's the location of the ball joint and the height of the ball joint on the unit. So if you see this one here, this ball joint comes down at a lower point in relation to the upper ball joint. When I installed the first one here on the driver's side, it looked like I got about a ½ inch more height on that ball joint, meaning that the upper control arm right here is operating about a ½ inch higher than it was before, which puts that about the same angle as the lower control arm. Now, when I went through all this, I made the mistake of not noticing that there's 2 ways to install this here. They give you a spacer. So essentially, I could install this ball joint about a ½ inch lower, which would give me even better angles on this control arm. And that's what I did on this other unit here. If you look at, if you compare the two, the spacer is above the ball joint instead of below like on this one. I also went through and put grade 8 hardware on this one, so when I change this one around, I'm going to change out that grade 8 hardware as well. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys, my opinion on why these work. I actually drove the truck around with this one side installed. It took me forever to get the other ball joint to let go, so I had just one on here for a while. But it actually seemed to be less abusive when you hit a solid bump on this side versus the other side. So it seems to have worked. Just having that extra ½ inch of angle went a long way. Again, it's just my opinion. I have no scientific way of backing this, but take that for what it's worth. One more thing I want to point out before I let you guys go here is here on this tire, you'll notice that the bracket for the brake line rubbed, so which is right here on the truck, and I actually cut it down a little bit already. Apparently I'm gonna have to do a little bit more, so that's something you're gonna want to watch out for. I might even have to cut this whole thing off and zip tie it there instead. I hope that's not the case, but yeah, you definitely don't want to put these on there and then slice your tires up, because it doesn't make any noise when that happens, or at least none that I heard. So anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Alright, so this is part 2 of my first video. Somebody on the forums was asking me about these, and I remembered I made a video about this a while ago, earlier this summer, and so I want to follow up with the experience I've had in a little bit more detail on why these work. I'm a believer now that anybody leveling one of these trucks should be doing these upper control arms. It definitely made a difference in how it rides. It's still firm. It's not like stock, but when you hit a bump, it's not jarring and rattling the dash apart and all, you know, that joy that happens when you level one of these trucks without doing the upper control arms, because that upper control arm is the first component that goes on a severely steep angle. So what I've done here, so you guys can see, is I've taken off the front wheel and done something kind of sketchy here, because I want you guys to be able to see, you know, get a good look at the suspension angles and see for yourselves, you know, why this works. So I got it up on a jack stand here, as you can see, and here is the control arm. Again, I've got this ball joint installed in the lowermost position now, and these are the angles with the truck under its weight. As you can see, the truck is pretty much level right now. It's maybe a little bit leaning to the passenger side, but at most a degree or so. So here we are. And I've also got an angle finder here, and we can see that this control arm is running at a 15-degree angle right now. Now if we compare that to the lower one, that one looks like it's about a 13-degree angle. Now originally, this control arm, the stock one, was running at a much steeper angle than the lower. So that would have been something probably like 20 or more degrees with the stock control arm. And that's where you get your ride quality out of this. This is taller, that bumps this up, so when you hit a bump in the road and this force transfers up, it's moving the control arm like this instead of transferring that force directly up into the frame. So again, I think you'd be doing yourself a favor to level one of these trucks using the upper control arms. It's the right way to do it. Spindle Source makes a complete kit. You can order the keys and the upper control arms with blocks for the rear as well if you want to do that, all as a kit. So in my opinion, don't bother with Rough Country. There's nothing wrong with their products, but they're skipping a critical component of what should be done in a lift for one of these. Like to know what you guys think about this. If you guys agree, what are your experiences? Put them down in the comments below. Thanks for watching.